Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Satsang. Let's make some silence first. Opting out, letting go. At all times, whatever thoughts arise that ask for engagement, opt out, let go. Don't go with, remain. Classify everything unimportant, not just meditation time, all times. In numerous invitations, appear, succeed each other. And if you find yourself already going, get out. Drop immediately. Go back to stillness. So today I'll talk about intensity. Intensity is a very important, if not crucial, aspect of the quest for truth. Whatever is your spiritual work, it has to be intense. This is important because, well, the ability to survive, to adapt, is one of the most effective skills of the body-mind complex, of illusion. So intensity is the mechanism that makes that process of adapting more difficult. And it is that which makes possible for the life of the process to arise. Without intensity, it is very difficult for any life to arise. Very difficult. It will be just something which is part of the day and that's it. Just in the wasting time section. So intensity, it is something very unique to yourself, to your moment, and that changes with time. Something that is too intense now then becomes normal, and you have to increase and increase and increase. Through intensity, the barriers, the blockages, the difficulties, the knots in your illusion gets seen, get visible. The barriers, all of this becomes visible, tangible. Without intensity, they don't. You may have a lot of ideas about your difficulties and all of this, but they will be very far from the reality. And as they are not visible, they can't be worked. So intensity is crucial. You see, what you deem to be reasonable is that which fits the narrative of your world. That which you see as intense, that which you perceive as intense, is that which is already going beyond, forcing the boundaries. In a freedom quest, it is 24/7. So this idea of having meditation in the morning and the evening, it's nice, better than nothing, but still almost nothing if the rest of the time is not being used intensely. And this intensity, if it goes in the right direction, it will reach a point where the experience of time will change drastically. It's like time expands infinitely, becomes heavy, overwhelming. And as long as these difficulties, fragilities are there, it's like you can't even breathe in that perception of time. Because you're focused at every second. More or less like in meditation. The majority can focus just a little bit, a few seconds straight. Then they distract, then they focus a little bit and they distract. Or sometimes there's complete abstraction. That is good, it's also a phenomenon, but it's good, okay. But to be focused continuously at every second, it is much, much better. And that can be overwhelming, especially in the beginning. Very difficult to achieve, because you will have to train that mind, because it is used to. Okay, so it's going to meditate 1 hour or 2 hours straight. It comes and goes, okay, but the rest of the time, then it gets free. Oh, I have to do this and I have to do that, and then it's free like a bird. So it can take the cage of a few seconds in a period of 2 hours, a few seconds and another seconds, and then it distracts, comes back again, goes and comes back again. But all the time, it's almost unbearable at the beginning. Your noises, agitations, fragilities will have to come out. And you will have to go through a lot of time just training the mind to become still. Not allowing these moments of distraction. Because if your world is organized, so I work this period, make the meditations here and that, okay, and intensity is required in the freedom process. This is what I'm talking about. Because if you're in the group that says, oh, but I have time and it doesn't need to be like this, and fine, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you, the one who is in that group saying, I have to make the best use out of time. I'm in a hurry. The calling is so intense, I have no peace. This is for who I'm talking with. Those who are really aspiring for freedom. The rest are just entertained. And these are not directions for those who are sitting comfortably in their couch, admiring the view. No, these are the words for those who are standing up and moving here and there and trying to reach somewhere they don't know. It's giving them direction. Those are not words to incite you to move, but to give direction to those who are being pulled to move, who are trying to move, but not finding the way. So if you say nothing of that is required, then they are not for you. Don't worry. For those who aspire freedom, it is all about intensity. You see, in your life, your worldly life, you can see this. The more you want something, the more you dedicate. And if it is passion, then you dedicate day and night, you think only about that. And the more intense it is, the more it absorbs your mind. It is the same with the quest for freedom. Intensity is the answer to the calling, to the thirst for truth. The more intense the thirst is, then the bigger the calling is. And the bigger the need to answer that call. So it's not a matter of going or not going. It's about finding the route, because you cannot stop moving. And intensity, it is what brings life to the process. It doesn't matter if you're doing meditation and seeing nothing, or if you're doing meditation and having conversations with angels, or seeing beautiful images, or experiencing with deities or something like that. If there's no intensity, there is nothing. These subtle realms, they are as real as this gross one. It is part of the same illusion. So being distracted with your eyes open or being distracted with your eyes closed, it doesn't make much of a difference. Intensity brings the fire of meditation. Meditation is real attention, living attention. And that's what it makes it real. Understanding in a quest for truth falls behind. The majority of seekers, understanding comes first. First I understand, then I move. In a living process, understanding falls behind. Whatever is asked of you, whatever is pointed, you have no way to understand. And even if you do, it doesn't make a difference, because it is going where it hurts. It is untying the knots of your delusion that are guarded by your fears, fragilities. So if you lose intensity, you lose almost everything. If you maintain intensity, then your chances are real, because you may remain a lot of time hitting your head on the wall, but eventually you will find the passage. And finding the passage always means leaving something behind. Whatever it is. But if you don't lose intensity, eventually you will find the passage. If you lose intensity, it's like a car without an engine. So in your spiritual practice, intensity has to be there. If you're getting used to the time of meditation, increase it. You'll always have to increase it more and more. If you recognize fragilities that are making you backing down or conditioning your quest in some way, you will have to bring intensity to break those fragilities. And eventually you will have to reach this state of uninterrupted observation. Focusing present all the time. You see, when you're in a situation that you dislike, time seems not to pass. It's even beyond that. When the mind is pleased, time passes quickly. It runs down your hands. You cannot hold it. When it's not pleased, it's difficult. It becomes longer. When you're focused, it's even bigger. And all this emotional garbage, all of that everyone carries, will have to fall behind, because you won't be able to reach this state, or if you could reach it, you wouldn't be able to breathe in it, because it is so overwhelming. So your meditation practice should be intense, and it is teaching you to enter this meditative mood and to remain it 24/7. And all thing is going into my heart, what to do. Can you explain better, please? Because this is not very... Can you make it a little better? Your question. So intensity is the engine of it. The path is there. The direction is there. It is not something that you will understand or find through your mind. Whatever is found through the mind, it's not the thing yet. Even if it is, it isn't, because it lacks the life. I will comment on this. I will not talk about everything because it is personal, but I will make some comments which are important for all. I also see how your presence in my life takes a lot of importance, more and more. I see my fragility and some blindness in it. It is like a love relationship. To go forward, I need to trust and jump the cliff without knowing what will happen fully. I trust you a lot, but not fully yet. I can say I never met a person with a level of maturity like that. I never saw a sign of ego in you, but from my ego perception, I can tell if you are sure a realized being, and it is so scary to follow at 100% when you can get hurt very bad and just waste a lot of time if you are mistaken to trust at the first place. I think that the trust will evolve when I transcend more and more my ego and find your transcendent nature. This is something which is common to seekers. And this is where the confusion begins. This mindset, the way it is inbuilt. This is the recipe for problems. You see, there's no safe path, no safe place. And to trust, it's not about being safe. It is about dealing with the fragilities that are there. If your path is, if you're making decisions in your path that are reason-bound and that fits the requirement of safety, you are not transcending your illusion. You see, for example, in this example, I never saw a sign of ego in you. You haven't, probably because, well, this is the vision that you need. Probably, I'm not saying it is, I'm just giving an example. Others probably have seen dozens of signs of ego in me because this is what they need to preserve their vision and their world. It is very difficult for someone to go beyond their world. It's very difficult, but understand, in a living process, things shift dramatically. There's a lot of confusion about this because things are not in the right place. Seekers are not in the right place, and the rest follows. So imagine, you want to come closer because you feel it is important in some sense, and you're building this trust in me, as you say, because of the signs that you are seeing and the reasonings you are making, and because you haven't seen any signs of ego in me. So what I would do next in a situation like that is to give you a lot of signs of ego to test how solid is that perception, how real is that desire to come close, if it comes through the right reasons or not. Because if it is answering a call from the heart, those signs will not be an obstacle. They will create confusion, yes. You will feel hopeless, yes. You will be exposed to your fragilities and you will have to stay in them. And you will have to overcome them to get closer. There's this idea that when things are in the right place, the master comes, or God, or whatever, and takes you on his lap and tuckles you in there, makes you feel safe all the way through. But that's not the case, because this is a path of lions, not of kittens. And to release all the power you have, all your strength, all your silence, all chaos, all fragility has to come out. It cannot stop you, because if it is stopping you, well, you're not moving forward. And if you appear to be moving forward because you're feeling safe, you're not moving forward. It just appears. So understand, in a situation like this, I would make sure you would get the signs to give you an opposite perception, and then would wait to see what would happen. Because if those are the safety nets, then you're not coming closer. And coming closer means growing beyond your world. Not adapting me into your world, for example, or whatever it is, or whoever it is. So the path of the seeker, the real path, is you intensify as much as you can from where you're standing, as the life to the process arises. The direction is given in a way that you understand. But to follow that direction, you will have to go against your fragilities. Doubts will arise. You will have to deal with them. It's completely opposite from this self-reassurance and building safety at all steps with what is seen. Name of the game is surrender. Point number one. And only can trust the one who is trustworthy. That means the one that can stand in its own feet. Either you believe that you are in a process of freedom or you don't. So let's look at this. The majority of the so-called seekers of truth function in this way. Like this text I received. And yes, there are a lot of problems that they say they have with masters and a lot of confusion is there. But the majority thinks this way. Isn't that a clue in itself already? I already talked about this. But I will talk it again. In a real process, your fragilities will be tested. For example, you come here to Satsang and you're expecting to see some guy with a deep smile in his face, loving, caring, and all of that. And if you see that, this must be okay, and then I can trust and all of that, I will show you the opposite, for sure. Whatever you're expecting, I will show you the opposite. Because my interests are in the seekers that are seen with this, not with these two eyes, and interpreting with this mind. And as both are there, there will be a conflict between them. Inevitably. Conflict. If the conflict is not there, oh, I will help to bring it. Because without it, you are not firming yourself in this path. It is this one. And this one, this is the sure path for the maintenance of your illusion. Either you trust you're in the process of freedom and that guidance is there and you surrender despite your fragilities and live that, because this is the important part, to be exposed to those fragilities until they lose their power over you. Or you can bring self-reassurance protecting those fragilities, and imagine that you are moving forward, but you're not. That is simply nothing. Because whatever comes into the path of the seeker of truth, it will be what he needs, not what he thinks he needs. So whatever suffering you have caused, you will have to deal with it in your quest. No doubts about it. There's no need to search it. It will come. Dealing with those fragilities, humility, and all those things, it brings a lot of hardships. But if you only think about love and assurance and safety, how can you go through it? As you reach that part, as it starts coming, you will, no, this is not right, because this is not the loving and all of that. To really break The ego layers, depending on what they are, if there's arrogance there, oh, there's the stick in the head for sure. How will you deal with it? If you're having expectations and certain visions, and how will you achieve surrender if you're full of safeties? You may achieve agreements. You may achieve, yes, agreements. You may agree with it, but that's not surrender. It's like in a war. There's truth and there's surrender. And surrender is the part that has been so crushed that it has to give in. It doesn't have a choice. This is surrender. And to reach that state, it's not in accordance. It is, but it isn't at the same time. When part of you knows it is the best and forces the other part that doesn't want to. It's complicated and easy at the same time. I think that trust will evolve when I transcend more and more my ego and find your transcendence nature. This doesn't really happen in this order. You see? It doesn't really happen in this order. It's not the safety path. It is not. And as long as it is the safety path, your fragility will be there, your illusion will be there, nice and tight, and you'll be using what could be an instrument of freedom to preserve your illusion. And no transcendence nature. Not yours, not mine. People see what they can, not what they want, what they can. Sometimes what they can, it is aligned what they really want to consciously see. Sometimes it is aligned what they unconsciously want to see. But they see what they can, what fits the narrative. You're not seeing any ego. Others are seeing a lot of ego. But none of you are really seeing me, whatever that means. You're just seeing what you can in your world. But understand, you can, if you, for example, in this situation, if you build all that safety net there, and then, no, this is safe, I can come close. Oh, I will break that safety very fast, very fast. Whatever time you have taken to build that, I will break it very fast. Because that is not coming close. And trust has to come from within, from yourself. If you're full of fragilities and fears, how will you be able to do that? And if whatever is this situation or any other situation in the quest for freedom, if you're not going through your fragilities, through your fears, nothing's happening. Absolutely nothing. Nothing worthwhile. And this is a common phenomenon that is seen these days. You expect a smiling one, and this is why they smile from the other part. Even among seekers, it is to show something to the other so that it believes. Maybe his belief will make it true and whatever, and this feeds on each other. But when things get serious, it doesn't work like that. In this situation, with me for example, whatever expectations you may have, understand, I will break them. I will use whatever is needed to break them. Not allowing this trust to be built like this. It has to be something real. Real. So it starts in reality with intensity in your practices, in your process, bringing life to it. And whatever direction it is pointing, follow it. If it is a real direction, for sure, going forward means going through the fragilities you have there. You will have to go beyond them. It is not a safety path. It is a lion's path. Lions roar when they move. They don't tremble. And if you're not leaving your fragilities behind, not going through them, you're not moving, you just appear to be moving. This is not trustworthy. If it fits in your narrative, whatever idea you have about me, you will see what you need to see that fits that narrative. But if it doesn't fit in your narrative, you will see me in someone in another way, opposite way. This knows nothing, has no freedom, full of bias. Are you observing with these eyes or with this one only? This vision, this surrenders to this vision, not the other way around. And they are not partners in any way. This gives the direction, this follows. And as this is trying to follow this direction, a lot of noise starts immediately. Full of negativities, going against and this and that and this and that. Okay. So next satsang will be Wednesday, 9 o'clock in the morning, Brazilian time, UTC -3. Till then, reflect if you can, if you want, if you deem fit. And remember, intensity. If you deem it unimportant, well, it's not for you then. It's not for you that I'm talking. I'm not here to persuade anyone. That's never the point. These words are for those who are thirsty for freedom. Okay, watch.